Hello everyone, welcome to the YouTube channel of Victory IS. In today's session, we shall be talking about an important wildlife called rhinoceros, popularly known as rhinos. So, this is the topic that we are going to take up. So, the reason for taking up this topic is that a number of times in the past 3-4 years, several current developments have taken place with respect to rhinoceros. In fact, in 2022, Assam government conducted rhinoceros estimation wherein they found that the total population of greater one-horned rhino in India has increased closer to 2900. We'll talk about that news. Then there is one news related to African continent. So there are several developments with respect to this news. So first of all, we'll look at those current developments. पहले उन current developments को देखेंगे, and then later on we'll talk about the important static portion which is needed for the prelims examination. So let's begin the session. Let's see what all news we have with respect to this wildlife. So coming to the current developments, so this is one news, the 14th Assam rhino estimation. 14th Assam rhino estimation has been conducted in 2022. So let me give you a background कि कैसे क्या हुआ. तो 2022 में Assam state government, the state Ministry of Environment and Forest conducted Assam rhino estimation. So they carried out rhino estimation, and in this estimation they find out that there are, first finding is that the number of rhinos in the country right now is 2895. The second finding is that male to female ratio is 1:1, and this finding is with respect to the Manas National Park. Then they also notice that the majority of the rhinos of India, nearly 90% of the rhinos that are found in India, they are found in Kaziranga National Park. Kaziranga National Park. This national park is also in Assam. But this news is related to Manas National Park. So there have been certain findings in Manas National Park. So we see that in Manas National Park, first thing that the male to female ratio is 1:1. That is what has been observed in the 14th Assam rhino estimation. Second thing, that the total number of rhinos in Manas National Park is 40. But there is one point of contention that in the western part of the Manas National Park, the life expectancy of the rhinos have increased, but in the eastern part that life expectancy is not that much. Moreover, the age structure of the rhinos in the western part of the national park, the western part borders with Bhutan. So in that part, the age structure is in pyramid shape. So this is the shape, that is the structure of the age of the rhinos. So it means that in the bottom, wherein the age of the rhinos is less, over there the larger population is there. So it means that in the times to come, the population is going to increase further. So this is a positive sign. But since only 40 rhinos are present in Manas National Park, so the government has proposed for the translocation support. So this estimation is asking for translocation of the rhinos from the other parts to Manas National Park. So that is why this news was seen. Let's look at the certain facts. Rhino census was carried out in 3 ranges, not that much important. These ranges are not that much important. These 3 names are given, but not that much important. You should know that Manas National Park is present in Assam. It borders with Bhutan, and then there are a number of other national parks in Assam. For example, Kaziranga National Park, I told you that 90% of the rhinos found in India are found in Kaziranga National Park. And then there is another national park called Orang National Park, again in Assam. Then there is something called Dibru Saikhowa. So I'll show you the map later on. There is some national park called Dibru Saikhowa, that is also there in Assam. So in all there are 7 national parks in Assam. Not all are important, but I'll tell you which all are important and we'll see that. Anyway, so these things we have already discussed. Let's come to the second part. So let me show you the important national parks that are present in Assam. So this is the Manas National Park that we have been talking about. So this Manas National Park is bordering with Bhutan, if you look at this. Then Kaziranga National Park, Orang National Park, and then this one is Dibru Saikhowa. So at least remember them from east to west or west to east. There could be a question in the prelims examination to arrange them either from west to east or east to west. And anyway, you should know that this is Brahmaputra river which is passing through the Assam. Basically the Brahmaputra river has the largest valley in Assam. Anyway, come to the second news, that the second current development that we found in the newspaper. The rhino horns have been trafficked. So you should know that the horns of the rhino has keratin, and this keratin is used for some medicinal treatment. Certain health problems get resolved by the use of this keratin, and because of this significance in the horns of the rhino, the horns have been trafficked at international level. These horns are high in demand in the China and Vietnam, countries like China and Vietnam. So there have been cases wherein the approach of the trafficking have been changing. Earlier, the smuggling used to be done by the normal airlines. The small airlines were used, the passenger airlines were used, but now they are using the commercial airlines for the smuggling of these horns. So that was in the news. So again makes important that we should know everything about the rhinos. Then there is another very important development, something called as Conference of Parties of Sites. If you remember, when we discussed about the COP of climate change, when we talked about in the last session, then we talked about COP of UNFCCC, but this is the COP, Conference of Parties of Sites. So in 2020, the COP 19 of CITES was held. CITES means the Convention on International Trade of Endangered Species of Flora and Fauna. So COP of this CITES was held in 2022, and a number of proposals were given in this COP, in this Conference of Parties. Basically, this Conference of Parties is the highest decision making body of CITES, and it meets every 2 to 3 years. So in every 2 to 3 years they meet, and the latest meeting which was held in 2022, that was called COP 19 of CITES. It gave several proposals. One proposal was related to rhinos as well. So let's look at the proposal, and that proposal has been accepted also. So basically the white rhinos are found, white and black rhinos are found in Africa, and one of the white rhinos are found, the certain population is found in this northern part and certain is found in southern part. So southern white rhinos have been transferred from appendix 1 to appendix 2. So now the question comes up, what is the significance of this change in the position from appendix 1 to appendix 2? So you should know that sites maintain 3 appendices. There are 3 appendix maintained by sites. Appendix number 1 is for the list of all those animals which are at the verge of extinction, which are at the brink of extinction. They have greater, highest degree of threat. So that is, all those animals are put under appendix 1 and their international trade is prohibited. Then comes appendix 2, wherein international trade is allowed in regulated manner. So they are right now, they are not at the verge of extinction, but if the international trade is carried out in uncontrolled manner, they might get into the category of extinction. So that is why they are put in the appendix number 2. Then there is something called appendix number 3. Appendix number 3 maintains the list of all those animals, all those species wherein a particular country makes request for putting a particular species under that appendix 1, and that country must be involved in into the trade of that species. So appendix number 3. You should also know that in order to add or remove any species from appendix 1 or appendix 2, COP is needed. COP is needed. It is the approval of the COP which will ensure that whether a species can be added or be removed from appendix number 1 or appendix 2. So recently in COP 19, the southern white rhinos, their position has been changed from appendix 1 to appendix 2. So that is why it is saying that it has downgraded the status. So it will result into the international trade of southern white rhinos, and in the times to come, because of this international trade, there is an apprehension that these rhinos might get into the category of extinction. They might get threatened in the times to come because of this development. So this is the news. Then coming to the fourth news, again the rhino horns are shrinking. So basically the size of the horns is shrinking, and it is happening because of the continuous hunting or the poaching activity of the horns. I told you that these horns have some medicinal purpose, and because of that these horns have been trafficked or smuggled at the international level. So because of that, the average size of the horns have reduced. Now let's talk about the basics of rhinos. So basically there are many types of rhinos. So you should know that rhinos are found in 2 geographical regions. One is Asia and one is Africa. So they are found in Asia as well as Africa. In Asia, there are 3 types of rhinos. One is Indian rhino, that is also called greater one horn rhino, that we are going to talk in detail. Then second is the rhino which is found in Java island of Indonesia, and then another in Sumatra island of Indonesia. So Sumatran rhinos and Javan rhinos. So these 3 types of rhinos are found in Asia, and in Africa white rhinos and black rhinos are found. So not much of the details is needed with respect to the rhinos found in other parts of the world, but let's have their IUCN status. So black rhino, you should know that it is critically endangered, the one which is found in Africa. White rhino is not that much threatened, so it is put under near threatened category, and that is the reason that it was removed from appendix 1 to appendix 2, if you remember, because it is near threatened, it is not that much threatened. Then coming to Sumatran rhinos, again critically endangered. The Java one, the one which is found in Java Island of Indonesia, they are also critically endangered. And then coming to Indian rhino, which is also called greater one horn rhino, it is in vulnerable category. So not all the rhinos are into the critically endangered category, but 3 are into the critically endangered category. The one which is found in India, it is vulnerable, you cannot forget this. And then the one which recently got the approval to be shifted into appendix 2 is again near threatened, which is logical also. Yes, now let's talk about the one horn rhino in detail. Let's understand what all things which are needed for the prelims examination. First, the Indian rhino, it is the largest of all the rhino species. I told you it is also called greater one horn rhino. So there is basically one black horn present in this Indian rhino. So there is a single black horn and grey color hide with skin folds. So skins are folded and the color is grey brown color. Then they are herbivorous, they are mainly dependent on the grasses, shrubs, the plant leaves, fruits. So basically they are herbivorous. Okay, and now let's talk about their conservation status, the protection status. So first thing, they are into the vulnerable category of IUCN. IUCN keeps Indian rhino into vulnerable category. Under Wildlife Protection Act, you should know that Wildlife Protection Act declared certain species into 6 schedules. So this rhino which is in vulnerable category, it is put under schedule number 1, which receives the highest degree of protection under Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Then CITES, I already told you that CITES is the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, and in CITES there are 3 appendix and it is put under appendix number 1. Do remember that Indian rhino is under appendix number 1, but that southern white rhino in Africa is under appendix number 2. It has been shifted now. Okay. Then what are the conservation efforts at the national level in order to increase their population? As I told you that Assam estimation report says that the population is already 2895. So it is nearly 2900. So there is New Delhi Declaration on Asian Rhinos. In 2019, a New Delhi declaration came on Asian rhinos. So all those countries where Asian rhinos are found, they are part of this declaration. So you should know that 5 countries are party to this. Those 5 countries are starting from Nepal, then Bhutan, then India, Nepal, Bhutan, obviously India, then Indonesia and Malaysia. So these are the countries which are party to this declaration. And in 2020, Government of India started with 2019-20 Government of India, in the follow-up of this declaration, Government of India started National Rhino Conservation Strategy, with the aim of protecting and conserving the population of the rhinos in the country. Then Ministry of Environment and Forest is also making DNA profiling of all these rhinos which are found in India. And then in the last, there is Indian Rhino Vision of 2020, and this vision aims to increase the population to 3000, and if you look at the number, the current number is closer to 2900. It means that we are on the right track when it comes to the protection and conservation of the rhinos. So, this would be all with respect to the rhino wildlife. In the next session, we shall be talking about some other wildlife. So, thank you so very much. Keep on learning. Have a great time.